Noting an increase in bigamy from Love Conquers All by Robert Benchley. Either more men are marrying more wives than ever before, or they are getting more careless about it. During the past week, bigamy has crowded baseball out of the papers, and while this may be due in part to the fact that it was a cold, rainy week and little baseball could be played, yet there is a tendency to be noted there somewhere. All those wishing to note a tendency will continue on into the next paragraph. There is, of course, nothing new in bigamy. Anyone who goes for it with the idea of originating a new fad which shall be known by his name, like the daguerreotype or Potatoes O'Brien, will have to reckon with the priority claims of several hundred generations of historical characters, most of them wearing brown beards. Just why beards and bigamy seem to have gone hand in hand through the ages is a matter for the professional humorists to determine. We certainly haven't got time to do it here. But the multiple marriages unearthed during the past week have a certain homey flavor lacking in some of those which have gone before. For instance, the man in New Jersey who had two wives living right with him all of the time in the same apartment. No need for subterfuge here, no deceiving one about the other. It was just a matter of walking back and forth between the dining room and the study. This is, of course, bigamy under ideal conditions. But in tracing a tendency like this, we must not deal so much with concrete cases as with drifts and curves. A couple of statistics are also necessary, especially if it is an alarming tendency that is being traced. The statistics follow in alphabetical order. In the United States, during the years 1918 to 1919, there were 4,956,673 weddings. 2,485,845 of these were church weddings strongly against the wishes of the bridegrooms concerned. In these weddings, 10,489,392 silver olive forks were received as gifts. Starting with these figures as a basis, we turn to the report of the Pennsylvania State Committee on Outdoor Gymnastics for the year beginning January 4th, 1920, and ending a year later. This report being pretty fairly uninteresting, we leave it and turn to another report, which covers the manufacture and sale of rugs. This has a picture of a rug in it, and a darn good likeness it is too. In this rug report, we find that it takes a Navajo Indian only 11 days to weave a rug 12 by 5 with a swastika design in the middle. 11 days. It seems incredible. Why, it takes only 365 days to make a year. Now, having seen that there are 73,000 men and women in this country today who can neither read nor write, and that of these only 4%, or a little over half, are colored, what are we to conclude? What is to be the effect on our national morale? Who is to pay this gigantic bill for naval armament? Before answering these questions any further than this, let us quote from an authority on the subject, a man who has given the best years, or at any rate some very good years, of his life to research in the field, and who now takes exactly the stand which we have been outlining in this article. "I would not," he says in a speech delivered before the Girls' Friendly Society of Laurel Hill, "I would not for 1 minute detract from the glory of those who have brought this country to its present state of financial prominence among the nations of the world. And yet, as I think back on those dark days, I am impelled to voice the protest of millions of American citizens yet unborn." Perhaps some of our little readers remember what the major premise of this article was. If so, will they please communicate with the writer? Oh yes, bigamy. Well, it certainly is funny how many cases of bigamy you hear about nowadays. Either more men are marrying more wives than ever before, or they are getting more careless about it. That sounds very, very familiar. It is barely possible that it is the sentence with which this article opens. We say so many things in the course of one article that repetitions are quite likely to creep in. At any rate, the tendency seems to be toward an increase in bigamy.